This was one of the greatest comebacks in the history of football. Hi there. Picture this. It's 2005, the Champions League final. It's half-time, and Liverpool are trailing AC Milan 3-0 thanks to goals from Paolo Maldini and a double from Crespo. It already looks over for Liverpool. But Captain Gerrard is not giving up that easily. In the 54th minute, he pulls one back. 2 minutes later, Schmitzer scores. The tide is turning for Liverpool. Gerrard is brought down in the penalty box. Up steps Xabi Alonso to take the penalty. Dida saves, but Alonso scores from the rebound to take the tie into extra time. Now it's penalties. Serginho steps up for Milan and blasts it over the bar. Hammond steps up and scores, despite having a broken toe. Pirlo then has his penalty saved by Dudek. Cisa puts Liverpool 2-0 up on penalties. Thomason pulls one back for Milan. Risa has his saved by Dudek. Kaka levels for Milan. Schmitzer scores for Liverpool. Shevchenko has to score. His penalty is saved by Dudek, and Liverpool win the Champions League. And so, 20 years later, I'm making a custom Funko Pop of Stevie G from that amazing final. Please don't get mad at me about using a Chelsea pop for this. He just happened to have the perfect hair for Gerrard. To make it easier to paint, I have to remove the head. To do this, I pop the pop into a pot of hot water. Poor Gary looks very worried about this. There, it's going to be all okay. Before I do any painting, I need to do a bit of sanding. The edges of the printing can sometimes show through the paint. I am using an emery board to start, and then some very fine sandpaper to smooth it all out. Now that is done, I need to sort out the neckline. The Liverpool shirt that season had a round neckline, so out comes the milliput. Milliput is a 2-part putty which sets hard after a few hours. I use these sculpting tools, to create the new neckline. I know I said the hair was perfect, but I was wrong. The hairline has quite a prominent ridge, so I am sanding it down. Oh, this is taking forever. My arm hurts.
Many hours later.
Finally, it's done. Now I'm gonna cut the protruding bit from around the neck post. Usually I do this after I've finished the figure, but I think it would be better if I do it now so that I don't damage the finish. You know what time it is? Time to prime! As usual, I am using Vallejo Mecha Grey Primer. Now that it's dried, I'm spraying some Vallejo Flesh Tone onto the head. And while that dries, I can get on with spraying the kit. The good thing about the Liverpool kit is that the shorts and socks are also red. All I had to do was mask off the skin areas, and now I can just spray over with some Vallejo Model Air in red. I know, I've sprayed the boots red, but it'll all work out in the end. I need to paint all the skin areas. This usually takes a few coats to make it look good. That's looking pretty nice. So now I have to spray the hair. I'm going with this dark earth colour. I also made sure to mask off the face, and I created a hairline with this thin Tamiya masking tape. Oh, I just remembered about the boots. Stephen wore black Adidas Predator Power Swerves with a red tongue. I'm obviously painting them black, but I will leave a bit of the red exposed for the tongue. Let's see how the head looks. It looks pretty good. Just needs a little touch up here and there. With that all sorted, I spray over a coat of Vallejo Premium Satin Varnish. As you might have seen in all my previous videos, that I am absolutely obsessed with this varnish. It makes everything look so nice without it being matte or gloss. Now that I'm done with that, I can move on to making the decals. I was so excited to start creating these, but then something awful happened which has had a huge impact on my life as a creator. Trigger warning here. I will be describing some eye-related medical terms, so please feel free to skip to the next chapter if you need to. I'd been out playing Pokemon Go Unova Tour in my local park. It was a lovely sunny day. I even hatched a shiny Bouffalont. But, out of nowhere, a huge dark floater appeared in my right eye. It looked a bit like this. It was very disorientating and super stressful. I couldn't even carry on playing the Go Tour. And, as it was a Sunday afternoon, it was too late to get an optician appointment. The next day, I get up, I go into the bathroom, which is all white tiles and very bright. And there is like this explosion of tiny little black dots in my vision, alongside that huge swooshy floater. Also, there is this weird yellow ring in my vision. According to Google, it is a vice ring, which is caused by something called a posterior vitreous detachment. Now, the word detachment is not a word you want to hear when it comes to your eyes, so off to A&E I went. After a few hours' wait, I was examined, and a haemorrhage was discovered in the back of my eye. I was advised to get an appointment with a different hospital that had a specialist eye clinic, which thankfully was not too far away. The next day I had my optician appointment, and unfortunately he confirmed a haemorrhage. But one positive was that my eyesight had not changed. The next day I had my appointment at the eye clinic to check for retinal damage or a detachment. Thankfully they did not find any retinal damage. I was honestly so relieved. I was advised to not exercise or exert myself for the next few weeks so that the bleed could heal up. But when I got home, all I wanted to do was sleep and be in the dark room anyway. I actually felt like that for a few weeks. I was unable to do anything creative or even use my computer much. It was pretty tough, guys. Anyhow, I had to have a follow-up appointment, so a month later, back I went. The floater had changed shape by then. It now looked kind of like an upside-down magical staff. I had a very thorough investigation, including something called a scleral depression, which uses this tool to press down on your eyeball. Don't worry, they gave me numbing drops. I was pretty sick of drops in my eyes by then though. I spent a lot of time with my eyes looking like this because of those drops. But I was so grateful for all the treatment I received. The NHS staff was so kind and helpful. And yes, I did spend many hours waiting to be seen. But all it cost me was the car park charge and some lunch from the cafeteria. I even had one of the top eye specialists in the UK examine my eyes. They told me that I had a posterior vitreous detachment in my right eye, which caused the floaters and the haemorrhage. I also had a complete PVD in my left eye, but thankfully that was without any problems. So, after about 5 weeks from the day of the haemorrhage, I was finally able to get back to doing this custom pot. It is a bit harder to be looking at a computer screen now, so I have to take lots of breaks. The floaters get in front of my pupil and make my vision blurry sometimes. But am I going to let it stop me doing what I love? Absolutely not. Well, maybe a little bit, as my eye is way more sensitive now, but I just need to take more care. To help with close-up stuff like these little decals, I bought these Vision Aid magnifying glasses. They are so good. I really wish I had have got them sooner. I think they will be essential for me being able to continue with making these figures. And speaking of that, let's get this figure finished. I need to apply the eye and eyebrow decals. For some reason, I thought it would be easier to apply the decal if I cut a large diameter around the outside of the eye instead of just around the black part. Well, I was wrong. It looks awful. So I'm gonna have to fix it. Getting decals back off is not very easy though. I have to use sandpaper, which unfortunately is gonna mess up the paint finish. Now that I've messed up that paint finish, I mask off the hair and respray the head. And then I have to respray the varnish as well. This time I cut the eye decals out without leaving any film around the edges. It looks so much better. Now let's get that head back on. All that's left now is to make a box for him. As usual, I create the box in Affinity Designer. And I print out the designs onto some nice presentation card. To waterproof the designs, I laminate them. This will also make the box a bit stronger. Now I'm cutting out the designs very carefully. I use a tool called a bone folder to create some nice sharp folds. The plastic window I have repurposed from another box, and everything is stuck together with double-sided sellotape. I'm using the bubble from the Gary Cahill pop, but I'm cutting the top off. I noticed on some of my other pops that the plastic bubble has been rubbing off some of the satin varnish on the hair and causing little shiny areas. So if I cut the top bit off, then that won't happen. And that is the figure finished. Thank you all so much for watching. And I would be so grateful if you could put your laces through that subscribe button. So, my final thoughts. Well, I couldn't get the printer to print the exact red I needed, but other than that, I'm really proud of actually getting this custom finish through all the eye problems. Now here's the final result. Uh-oh. What the? Guys, I've only gone and put the wrong number on the box. He should be 24. Oh, I knew I would mess something else up. Oh well. Let's see if I fixed it. Here's the final result.